Right, we should be live now. Just got myself a coffee today. Hello to you guys that are waiting. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Let me know in the chat if my microphone's at a good volume. It looks good on OBS, but it's always nice to check. Hello. How's it going, everybody? How are we doing? It's been a long time since I did my last stream. This is my third one, so hopefully we'll have another good one. I've quite enjoyed it the last couple of times, actually. We'll just give it a couple more minutes, get maybe a couple more people in, and I'll get going. I've had a couple of requests via email for sites to scrape, so we're going to start with them, and then I'll take some more questions, or we can just chat about it, what I'm doing or anything like that might be interesting to you. So yeah, I'll get going in a couple of minutes on that. One of the, I think, the examples that I've got, I think you guys will find quite interesting. I certainly found them quite interesting to sort of similar methods and ways that I've used before, but just kind of like in a different sort of way. So it was quite fun. It's nice to see some familiar names popping up in the chat. Amazon Kindle website, that's probably, I'll have a look at that later. That might be quite difficult given the changes that Amazon put in recently to stop scraping. I'm not entirely sure what they did exactly, but the old method stopped working, so that's why I made a new video. I think they put in some kind of bot protection again or something. Right. Okay, let's get going. My webcam keeps putting me out of focus. That's annoying. There we go. So the first one I got sent was, I think, by, and excuse me if I butcher your name, Reza. You emailed this over to me, the Persian site, which I thought was, I thought I was going to struggle quite a lot with it because obviously the language barrier. So this is, I assume, a online shop. We can actually translate it here. I'm going to put it into English for the moment. So the idea, the goal of this one was to get all of the, hi Jonathan, was to get all of the user reviews, which I think it's been called comments. Here we go, yeah. So they all get loaded up down here, and there are certain amount of pages, etc., etc. I think there's 10 on this one, or maybe even more. So the first thing that I looked at doing was, well, maybe I can render this page, load it up, and because I couldn't find any of this data in the source. But what I actually found was when I did inspect element, make this bigger, I might make myself a bit smaller. We can see it. So when I did this, what I found when I was actually looking for how I might do the pagination was under the bottom here, when I did hover over the pages, let's take two, I found this link. So this actually was another link because I couldn't work out how the pagination worked. So what I did was I just clicked on this link and it took me to this, basically an HTML page loadout. With all the information on, I think. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I did some Google Translate on some of this text, and it does look like the sort of thing that we were after. Okay, that looks like review text. So what I could do was, now I had this, it also had the page number at the end, so we could get the different pages. Let's try page. I only went up to 2. Let's try page 11. Like I say, there's loads. So we could loop through that nice and easy. But this also had, you probably can't quite see the URL, but it also had the what seemed to be the product SKU URL or the product code or something in here. So when I changed it to a different product, in the URL the different number changed. So we could just go ahead and change that in there, and then we should get the reviews for that product, which I think is right. So what I actually did was just used this URL with we'll go back to the original page with this, and because it is all HTML and very basic, there's nothing else going on, we could just use request in Beautiful Soup to request this data and pass it and take out the information that we wanted. So under you can see all the list tags seems to have all of them. But I actually ended up going one further in and starting with the section. So if you see it hovers over all of it is the section part, and now each one has its own section which has all the information in. Because if you went for the list like this, it actually had separate. I think it had a separate list within it, so it was kind of made it a bit more difficult. So what I did, I can show you my code now, was essentially this. I've put it into a function at the moment because I was testing to see whether the product and the page would work, but all I've done is basic web scraping because I was able to find this URL that had all the information in it for the comments, and it was all plain HTML, so it was easy to get to. So if I take, as an example, let's take this product code again, I'll not use that one, and we'll go for page 1. See, I've got get reviews and the product and the page, which I am inserting in here into the URL with an F string. I was able to, if I run this should just get us the names of all the people that reviewed this, if it works. Hopefully it does. I did test this. Nope. Anything? No? Okay. Oh, there we go. Oh, it did work. So I think these are the names of the people. It's 15 per page, so we've got 15 names. I think that's the people that reviewed it. So if I just quickly run through this code, this is our URL, which I just explained. Then the headers I'm using is a user agent, which is, I always put that in nowadays just because it just helps a little bit more. And then R is equal to request.get, our URL and our headers. Give it the text to our soup, and I found the reviews. I said I used section, I didn't use the list. See, I said just this section tag here. Oh, am I still live? Yeah. My YouTube thing went a bit crazy then. So I used the section. Had a problem with addressing the exact place of the reviews. Yeah, does that help? Does that make sense? Yeah, it does, yeah. Cool. Okay, I'm still live, good. All the stats just disappeared off the YouTube live thing. Does that make sense as to where I've got that information from? Because you could also, I'm just printing this out, so you'd save this into a variable, and I'm going for the this one, the cell name, which was under the section, I think it's this one. Yeah, which gives me the person's name, I believe. Just let me know if that is actually somebody's name. And then you can see we could also get this part here, which is the inside the article. There's a header and the p tag, which has all the information in. So you could just go ahead and get all of that and then loop through all the pages. Yes, these are the names, good. Does that answer your question? Hopefully it does. I thought it was quite cool because you could look around for ages on this site trying to find a good way, but I just sort of stumbled across that URL in the in the thing, so we could get that and just get directly to this information. It's probably in the network tab as well. Might be a bit more difficult to find, maybe. Let's have a look. So it loads everything up. We can see what it's loading up in here. So maybe one of these might be, no. You can sometimes find it in here. Maybe it's not under, let's look for HTML, text plain, nope. I can't see it under here. It might be in here as well. But yeah, so that's how I did that. And we would I would just write a loop for this now. So you could take any product ID from there. You could, I'm trying to think of a good way to get, if you wanted to get all of them, how you get all of the product IDs. It's a bit more difficult for me to navigate this site. It's clear now, cool. But I guess you could, if you managed to get this number, you could put that in and you could just write your own loop and function. You could just go through it all and you could get all that information out, which was quite cool. I quite like that approach, actually. I quite like that one. Nice. That was a cool challenge. Thank you for sending that in. So any more questions on that one, or before I move on to the next, the next one that got sent in, and after that I'll just take any more random questions, or if there are no questions, we'll just do some scraping or something. Just let me know. Right. Let's find the next one. Are there any Pro Tools for seeing network activity? Not that I'm aware of. I just use everything in the network tab on Chrome or whatever browser. It's pretty good. We're going to use this again in just a minute for the next one. So it's this one's probably a bit more real world kind of usable one, because people could actually be quite interested to find this sort of information. But this one is basically finding, this is a UK store chain, like a grocery store, and you can search in here, and sometimes the network tab it does get quite messy. Generally speaking, I tend to filter it by XHR, because that tends to be where, generally when I'm doing this, I'll show you in a sec, I'm looking for JSON data, not so much HTML data, which is why this example was quite cool. So I tend to go and filter on here, and it narrows it down a little bit more. But if you go on all, it's everything. It's just everything that gets loaded up by the page, and it's quite difficult to filter through. But yeah, this is a grocery store chain in the UK. And if you were to try and search for, let's put London in, it'll tell you where all the stores are in London. So you could quite reasonably say that somebody might want to know where all the stores are in the whole of the country. Maybe it's for advertising, or I don't know, supply person or something like that. Because when you go onto each one of these, it tells you there's an address somewhere, I think. Oh, here we go. It tells you the address, information, and even directions and stuff. So if we wanted to get all of this information out, a cool way I found on this specific page was when you click on the map, it lets you hover over the regions. Now, and if you click on one, it loads them all up here. So this generally says to me that the data it's got to be coming from somewhere, the information. So it's probably coming through the API that they've got at the back end, and we probably can't access that directly, but what we can do is we can hit the endpoint of it, and we can get the information before it comes to without having to render it in the browser. So again, if we go to our inspect, see if you make this bit bigger, and then I'll reload the whole page. and clear it off. And when we go, I need to make it a bit bigger so we can see the map. There we go. So when we, and again XHI, when we go to the map and you click on a region, let's just do southwest, we should be able to find it popping up in here. No? It's here somewhere. Nope. Okay, this did work for me earlier. That's annoying. All right, give me a second. I wonder if it's a browser. Network. Okay, that is odd. I couldn't get that. Did that not work in Chrome? Did I do something wrong? Oh, there we go. I didn't. One extra click that I missed. So that was a bad example. That region. Let's go again. Right. So what we can do is if we click on southeast. So what we've got, you see on the side, is our. Oh, come on, respond. So we can see all the come up here. But if we click on this. This is actually a JSON response that has all of the data for these stores in. So if I go to, I've copied it all out, and if I just go JSON formatter, this one will do. We paste it all in there. So if I come in and we zoom in on this side, we can see that I've got all of the data here for, so there's the name, the branch code, where it is, the address, and the directions, and all of that. So that's all come up just by getting to that API point. Tells you everything. So we could quite quickly and easily get all of the data, all of this data for all of the stores that this chain has. And this is quite a common way of doing it. So if you're trying to find doing it in a similar sort of way, like map type things where it loads up the map or something, and there's a thing, you try looking in the inspect element tool. It's quite often going to come up there in the network tab of the JSON data. So just under here. So if we were to go and click on a different region, so if you can see this one's got, I can read that, it's a bit small. Region is equal to E35. Not quite sure what that means, but if we click on another one, so we've got now E05, and again, more of the same, all there. If I click on this one, E35, E45, and they're all there. So this must be the way they've just categorized their data. Because there's not that many regions, if we click around, we should get them all pop up. So we've got 5, 10, I bet there's a 15 somewhere. 15, so we just need a 20. Confirm the information. It'll be here somewhere. Can't find it at the moment. So you can see it's just in 10. So we could easily just put a different number on the end of this string and get all that data out. So the way that we'd want to do that, if we go with E05, is if I go copy, you probably can't quite see this, but copy and then copy as C URL at curl, and click on bash, and if I just start up Postman, and when that gets up, what we can do is we can just paste it in here, and that will let us access that without being in the browser, hopefully. So if we go import and then raw text and paste in what we just got, we should be able to send that and get all the information back. There we go. So it's all come straight back. So you can just go, where is it? here, sans save. I couldn't find this button last time either. It's an export somewhere. Code. Python requests. Let's copy that. Come out of here. Over to this, and let's call this farmshop.py. Paste that in. And run that ourselves. Just check that that works. There we go. There is all the data in JSON format that we would be after. We could just then manipulate this, and I would, instead of this, I would do like we did before with the f string, and then put whatever number on the end, and we would just loop through all of it and get all of that information out. So that's quite a cool way. So just remember, you can always find it. It's always there somewhere. Your first port call shouldn't be trying to click on things with Selenium and load the page up. Always have a look in here, because it's quite often nicely spread out like this. I made a web scraping application on a website using Flask. I want to display the real-time list on my Flask powered page. How can I access the data? Over a web scraping function which runs indefinitely until a user presses certain keys. Real time. I guess it's a bit more difficult. I'm not sure how you would do it real time. I've done it before where refreshing the page would refresh the data because it just scrapes it. Or you could set your scraper to run at certain intervals and then update a database, and then your Flask app can pull from the database. It's a bit hard to say without looking specifically at your code. You don't have to share too much if you don't want to, Aryan, but that sounds like quite a cool project. If you want a little bit more information, that'd be quite cool. That's the sort of website that I quite like. Can be quite useful. It depends how you do it, though. It depends how it works. Anybody else got any other questions? We'll take a quick question break for a bit. Let's close some of this. Oh, why is there a sad face? Don't need that, mate. Let's move this over here. I tried to put the chat on the side, but it came up really small. Let's involve a little bit of pandas or text blob. I don't actually know what text blob is. Simplified text processing. That sounds quite cool. Oh, I see. Processing, yeah. There's another one like this. Oh, sorry, wrong scene. I'm not very good at this. There's another one like this. I can't remember what it's called that I used before that analysed what words were in the sentence. I don't think it was text blob. I think it was something else. Could be wrong. Sentiment analysis. Yeah. I'd love to get more into this. Actually, it's not something that I've explored an awful lot of. I haven't had much use for it other than sort of personal projects. So I always find the best way of learning this stuff is when you have to. So when you're required to do it. Can I look at S-Market's website? I get a 403. Yeah. What is it? Oh, betting exchange. The betting websites generally are pretty good about not being scraped. Depending on what you're trying to do, it's quite difficult to interact with these ones. See, they even put this at the top of the code. It's just all JavaScript, I should imagine. All script data. Loads of it. I suppose it depends what information you're after out of here. I guess if you wanted to try and get some of this, I suppose it might work. Let's check. These actually information. Price tick by. Yeah, that might work. I suppose, let's have a look. Always check here first. Let's reload it. Let's close these ones. I'm going to keep this. I'm interested. Might learn about text blob. Let's refresh. Not an awful lot here we can work with. What were you trying to extract? Odds. Yeah. How did you try? What were you using? There's nothing here. How do I select an element in a list based on a string logic if a list contains... probably regex for that. If you use what's the word I'm looking for? So if our list was this isn't the one I like. Test this one, I think. So if our list was this, if you were trying to find, it's too small for you to see. If you were trying to find Python, so we could use RE for import RE for regex, and you could find this, and you could match your text string to an item in your list. So you could go for, if let's get rid of that. Let's use, say this was names, for name in the names list, find based on your regular expression, and then go index it back one. That might work. So definitely to do that, any kind of string logic or stuff like that, look up regex. It's quite a lot. It's not too difficult, but it's quite a lot to work out straight away. But definitely have a look around, because you should be able to find a way of doing it. And then you can, once you get this one, you can then go back one with indexing on a list, I reckon. I think that's probably your best bet. You're so underrated, Jeff. Actually, well, yeah, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. I've actually just gone over 1,000 subs today. So thank you to all you guys that subbed. That's really cool. It's been picking up quite a lot recently, actually. I started almost exactly a year ago. I think I've got 50 something videos now. So yeah, I'm pretty chuffed of the way it's gone. I never thought it would get anywhere near like this, so that's pretty cool. Trying to extract odds. Let's have a go at this then. I'm going to use this one as an example. Let's save that for now. What should we use? You just subbed yesterday. Enjoy my work. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Let's try. Test out my typing, which is not good. If you've watched any of my videos, you'll know that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use request HTML to render the page for us, and then try and access the elements with it like that. If that doesn't work, we could try loading the page up with Selenium and then getting the source. That might work. let's give this a go first and see how we get anywhere. Oh, another question I missed. How to separate in-stock and out-of-stock product sizes on e-commerce sites. That very much depends on how they work. If you've got a specific example, Selman, I'll happily have a look at it after this. Yeah, so let me know if you put a link to the shop in, if YouTube will let you post a link. If not, type it and I'll search for it, and we'll have a look after this one if you've got a specific example. Equal to s.get. Let's put our URL in, and then let's see if we actually can get a 200 response. It might just block us. And we might need to import the right library. Mistakes all over the place. Now we got 200, so something's there. Let's get rid of that. Let's render the page with this, and when I do this, I always like to put sleep is equal to 1 in, just because one time I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working, and then I did sleep equals 1, gave it an extra bit of time, and it worked. So we always put that in now. Now let's print our HTML.title and see what we get. We should get, is it this one? NFL odds. No title. Okay. I think I've done that right. Right. To the docs. Always to the documents. What did I do wrong? Yeah, don't need that. Yeah. Down the bottom. HTML.render, we did that. So let's just try and find an element on the page then. Let's try, what's under here? There we go. What does our selector look like? Oof, not good. Watching from Nigeria, wow, that's quite an outreach. Intermediate Python program, I've been searching for resources to scrape Aliexpress, having a bunch of difficulty doing this. Yeah, I think sites like that can be quite hard. You need to really know where you're looking at. I haven't actually tried Aliexpress before, but hey man, Adesina, I think, is that how you say your name? Sorry if it isn't, but it's really cool that you're watching from Nigeria, man. I appreciate that. I don't know what I'm doing now. Got distracted. Let's try just print the links, see if we got any links on this page. I'm not entirely convinced this is totally working. Oh, we got something. Okay. Right. So we are getting some data back. I'm not convinced. Haven't used this library for a little while. We should be able to just go and get it's not coming back with any of the actual information, so we're only getting I suspect these ones are in the footer, whereas we should be getting links to like all these ones. We're not. It's a bit more difficult. I guess we could try, let's try another approach. I'll give it one more go and we'll move on. Betting websites are a bit of a grey area really. I prefer not to scraping them really, but we'll give it a go just for educational purposes. I'm going to use Helium, which is a wrapper for Selenium. Just makes it easier to use basically. Start Chrome. And let's put, if we give it a browser equals here, when we start Chrome with our URL, headless, I always prefer headless, looks better. We can then do HTML is equal to browser.page source, I think. So if I'm going to give it a go and just print out the whole HTML, see what we get back. This may or may not work. We'll see. So we got something. Let's see what's in here. Well, that's the top of the thing. Yeah, this has not worked either. This is just like the upper. This must be exactly what we got back the other way as well. So it's obviously not letting us. So I guess the only way to do that would be to actually use a proper browser and get the information out that way. So yeah, betting shops, betting sites. Cool. Anything else? What did I miss anything? No. Oh yeah, Aliexpress. Let's have a look at Aliexpress. I suspect we might have the same problem, you know. Leave. Clicked on ad. So let's go. Let's why not do that then? That seems to be what it wants us to look for. So if we wanted to get, I guess, this information. So if we do, let's go here first, always here first, network tab, refresh page. Nope. That's a shame. Okay. Text HTML? No, nothing there. Okay. No worries, Jonathan. Thanks for dropping by. I appreciate that the time zone is not the best for a lot of you guys. Hopefully I'll be able to do it at different times, but at the moment I've got to do it outside my working schedule, which means evening UK, which is not so great for you guys around the world. But this will all be uploaded to YouTube when we're done anyway, so it'll be easy. You can just flip through and find bits that you're interested in. Right, let's try this again in here. What would be the best way? Is it on infinite scroll as well? Oh no, it's got pages. Pages equal to 2. Okay, that's promising. Don't like this pop-up though. Alright, we'll try this again. Okay, so we'll import the session, so we can set s is equal to HTML session, and we can do r equal to s.get for our session, and we can give it this URL. Wow, that's long. Then we can do r.html.render, and then try again with the title. Let's see if this works. I must be doing something wrong. You think you know something? You think you know something, and then you don't. I got it wrong all along. No? How do we print the text out? Oh, it should be .text. Nope. Okay, well that's a good start anyway. We know there's an element there, which doesn't appear to have anything in it, according to this. So let's have a look for, back on the website, oh, not that one. This one. So if we go inspect element again, see if we can isolate like the actual product bits. There we go. So there's loads of divs. They seem to be all in a line. Okay, list item. That's good. That's good. That's what we want. Okay. Okay, so let's try and find this. I don't know if I've done that right. Nope. There we go. I think it's this. Cool example. I've run into this error a lot. Yeah, I've forgotten how to get around it. I've done it before because it was a class. There's a way. I need to just find it in the docs again. That's annoying, that banner. Where's the actual? So somewhere down here we should be able to find the elements. Oh, is it this? Oh. Div. No. Oh. That would help. List. Nope. I was thinking about something. So it's definitely CSS selector a.some class some ID. Okay, and it was a class, so it should be that. Let's copy the, see what the selector looks like. It's gonna be one of those really long horrible ones. Yeah. Let's see if we can get anything off this page. We might not. We might actually be searching for something that isn't loaded up at all. Okay, there we go. So we have got some div elements. What was it called? Did it have a name? Don't need that. No, this div doesn't even have a name. have a quick look through these. Yeah, right, here you go. That's why we can't find anything. See this one. Click capture. So the page that we're looking at is not the page that we're loading up. That's why. So if we were to, Selenium should be used. Yeah, probably. Yeah. I reckon if I refresh this page now, it might actually ask me to do a capture. Yeah, here we go. I haven't had an awful lot of success with getting around captures. Let's try again. Just makes it a lot more difficult, obviously, that's the point. So I guess we could try this will probably have the same problem. Wow, this has not been entirely successful, this stream. What was I doing? I don't remember. Could have gone better. Too many difficult sites. Let's just do this again. See what HTML we get back, because we'll see straight away if we get the capture then. HTML. Get page? No. Page source. Let's see what we get here. Let's start it headless. Looking for anything that it says might say capture. Yeah, here's please slide to verify. Same problem. So we'd have to try and replicate all the headers, I guess. So the thing that's, oh, it's going to give me the capture again. Oh no, it didn't that time. So if we just look at one of our requests, long URL and a load of request headers and whatnot. So that's going to cause us issues. Some sites really don't want to be scraped. If we took the, even if we took all of this, I don't know whether that would work as well, because all of the unique headers. It's a bit of a challenge. So yeah, 0 for 2 on sites like this, I'm afraid. I'm sure it can be done. There are ways around it, but it's an awful lot of effort. So you've got to really want to be able to do it, and even then, can you do a video on saving scraped data into a JSON file? Yeah, of course. I've I responded to your comment the other day, didn't I? I've got a video coming out where I am going to show you how you can export into various different formats, because I always tend to do CSV because it's the most shareable, but I'll do JSON as well, and I'll show you. And I did a database one not that long ago, but I'll go back over a little bit of that. So yeah, that'll come out maybe a week or so, I reckon. Can I ask you a question regarding getting blocked by sites if you scrape too much in your experience? Yeah. So that is a genuine issue, getting blocked because you hit too many requests. The obvious answer to that are proxies. I did a video on rotating proxies. The only problem is that to get proxies that actually work and work with Google, you need to spend money and you need to find good ones. The free ones will all be blocked. You just won't be able to access anything. I talked about that in my video. You'd have to pay to get some that would work, and that's how you get around it. Or if it's for a personal project, I generally use time. So import time with Python, and I put long gaps in between or random gaps in between. So like to use random integer between a certain two numbers and sort of sleep for different amount of time. So you look a little bit less bot-like, and I just tend to do that. But it is a real problem getting blocked. And I'm a relative Python beginner. Any book sites that you recommend? I actually, when I was learning core Python, I still am, I guess, in a way. I think we all still are. I didn't tend to use that many books. I was sort of like, I just hit problems head on and tried to answer them. So when I thought, oh, how do I do this? I just Googled it and looked it up. But I found the one book that I did go through was called Crash Course Python. Let's look it up real quick. Which I thought was quite, this one. Yeah, this one I think, which was pretty good. Eric Mathers. This one was quite cool. The only bits that I didn't like were, I didn't really like the projects all that much. I've never made any games in Python. It's not really what I'm interested in. So doing all this wasn't that appealing to me. However, it does touch on other things down here. Getting started with Django. Now I haven't done much Django. I did Flask, but it does cover some quite cool stuff and it does do the basics quite well. This suggests it's quite expensive. I think if you get it on Amazon for a physical copy, it's a lot cheaper. Or if you search online. I didn't really tend to use books. Actually used videos. Obviously, most people tell you to go to Corey Schaefer's videos. He goes in so deep detail on everything. If that's what you're interested in. I found that a bit too much because I just wanted to get going. So I just hit my problems. I need to be able to do this. Found out how to do it, put it in, got it working, and then just left it and then came back to it and slowly started learning as it went along like that. I just realised I've talked about this book the whole time with the wrong scene on, so you can't see it. But it was this one. I should probably just not swap my scenes. It was this one. This book here. Whether you want to go and buy it is entirely up to you, but I found it pretty good. But as I said, I hardly use many books at all. But from what I've heard, this guy's pretty good. Other than that, once you get sort of to the point where you understand just about the basics, official documentation is fantastic. If you look at any of them for any sort of library, I use this one as an example just because if you kind of understand what it does, and you don't have to understand exactly everything, but you can copy this and get a result, and then you can start probing it and seeing how things change and how you manipulate it. I learned a lot this way as well. It's definitely a few things that really helped me right at the beginning when I was learning was understanding how to use lists properly, dictionaries properly, and looping. Those three things I've used so much, and the extras just come along with it. Right. Anything else from anybody? Stick it in the chat. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep waffling. I've got a video in the works that I'm doing, which is scraping Stack Overflow, going for questions in there, which is quite fun, quite cool. Not too unique an approach, but still one that's worth covering, I think. So yeah, that one should be coming out on Sunday. That'll be a bit of a longer code along type video. And then going forwards, I'm going to plan on doing a video about talking about the different methods of how I find the best way to scrape a site. So like when I first started learning, I'd bang my head against the wall, which I'm sure a lot of you will understand, trying to do something in one way when if you just understood how to find another way, you'd get through it much quicker and easier. So I'm going to do a video on that again. I'd appreciate some feedback though, if you think what sort of videos you prefer. I guess you guys are all here because you want to learn something, which is totally cool. So I think the most popular types of videos are all going to be actual code examples where I go through line by line. So if that's definitely what you guys are still after, then just let me know. Other than that, I might try and branch out a little bit and do some more sort of not full on, this is coding lines type thing, and more of sort of not theory of it, but more kind of like talking type thing. But I understand that people don't always like those videos. I will never get rid of my full code alongs on a Sunday though. That's kind of what I think everyone likes. Hey, what's the best way to scrape a site? What do you need to log into? Try and scrape my investments from trading 212. Yeah, you can do. Those trading sites are very similar to like the betting sites. They're quite difficult to get to. If you're trying to log in, there's a few ways that you could do it. The first one would be if you can find the URL that it sends your username and password to, and you can mimic the post request. So when we're scraping with requests, we do a get request, but you can actually use it to post as well. And then you can post your details to the server. It logs you in and lets you through to the extra information. It's a bit more difficult, and it depends on if you can find where it sends the information to, again through the inspect element tool. Try and find an example. I've done it before, but only a couple of times. Generally, scraping stuff behind a login is a bit more of a grey area because it's not publicly available, even though it's your own login. I'm not specifically I've tried that website, it keeps giving me a soft ban. Yeah, let me have a quick look about trading 212. I reckon this is probably going to be quite difficult. So we go to network, I try all, and we just put in, so it sends this authenticate. So it's a post request, and it's down here. So you can see it sent the supposed to tell me scraping my investments is fine. Okay, cool. Manage login using Selenium. Yeah, so I would try this. So down here we can see the form data, and it's got a login token which might cause us problems because that token is probably generated by the browser. If it is, you have to use a browser to get the token to log in, unfortunately. Otherwise, it's this, where's the URL it gets posted to? It should be here somewhere. It's this one. So you could do a request.post to this URL with login username is equal to, and like this. That might work. However, the token, it probably won't. You might have to try and just do it in some way using Selenium, and then like it might work headless on Selenium, so you could just log in, get your data, save it to wherever you wanted to, or get it sorted, sent to you. I suspect this site's probably quite difficult to do like that though. Hello, a couple of new people. Hello, hello. Hi bro, love your vids. Thank you, I appreciate that. let's have a quick look at post login. There's probably some good information here. See some apps which are used for e-commerce and wonder if they get away with scraping sites like Amazon and the like without trouble. Not entirely sure what you mean. So I think as long as, if you're scraping data, it depends how they're using it. It depends how they're using it. Yes, you did. Go ahead, post your problem, man. I'll see if I can help out. Although, bear in mind, so far I have failed on 2 occasions, so it might, maybe we'll get lucky this time. It depends how they're doing it. Jungle Scout, never heard of that. Oh, okay. Yeah. So this will be. I should imagine this will be legit. So what they probably do is it'll be Amazon affiliates. So they'll go ahead and start indexing all the links for all the different products that they can find, and they'll keep it in their database with their affiliate link. And then when you use their program to find the information, obviously you get a thing. They get a affiliate link kickback. You can still scrape Amazon. I guess if the information is publicly available, it's okay. So they could go ahead. I guess that's how they do the reviews. I suspect they probably have multiple servers gathering all the information. Oh, it's probably quite interesting. It'd be nice to know how it works. But yeah, I can see how. I think it's fine because it all links back to Amazon. It will all be through their Amazon affiliate program. I was able to scrape one of Nigeria's e-commerce websites and save scrape data in CSV, but the major issue I have is getting to save multiple images from a particular link. As in one, do you mean one link had multiple images? Because each image in the HTML should have its own image tag. If you can post it and it looks something that I can have a look at, yeah, go for it. If not, or you can just drop the URL or something, maybe I can have a look at it then. Need to scrape around 10 mobile phones customer reviews. More reviews. Everyone wants to scrape reviews. Such good data to collect. Not even just the actual rating that people give it, but what they say about it. That actually goes back to we were talking about text blob a little bit earlier. I've got it still open here, like analyzing text. So scraping reviews, loads of text reviews, you can find some quite interesting information. I don't see that being a problem though. It depends on how sentiment analysis. That's exactly right. Again, something that, as I said earlier, I've not delved too deep into, but I want to. So maybe if I get going in that, I can start doing some videos on that. I've gone out of focus again. My webcam really struggling to focus me at the moment. That's annoying. Come back. Nope. I'm going to be a bit blurry for a minute with my hand over the camera. Hang on. There we go. I need a new cam. Paste the link if you want, or give me the URL name. I'll have a look. I'm going to be about another 25 minutes, I reckon. I'd find a video about scraping 2 websites and producing the comparison results. Yes. Yes. It's basically yes is the answer. I will be doing that. I've got a load of notes scribbled down for various things, and that is one of them. So I was thinking, what I would do is I would get product data for the same product across as many different websites as I could find it, and then scrape it and save it into a database each day, and then compare the whole lot so we could look at the price or something like that. Maybe you can see how the price goes up and down on various sites, and we can have a look at it like that. That would be pretty cool. I'm not going to log into your Trading 212 account. No offense, but I'd rather not. I'd rather keep away from that if that's okay with you. I don't know how possible it will be, to be honest. I know it's a practice account, but still, I'd rather not if that's right with you. Yeah, I was doing I've actually started on a small Flask project that sort of shows you the data from products that I've scraped. It only does prices at the moment. I want to do scraping of multiple pages in the same time to scrape the prices of the products and save it to a NoSQL database. Yes, yeah. Thanks for dropping by, Reza. I'm sorry if that's not your name, how I pronounce it. But thanks for sending that site over to me, man. That was cool. Yeah, cheers for stopping by. Yes, Rosalina. Yes is the answer. That's kind of what I'm working on now. Very similar. I just want to make sure I've got it to a good point. And then what I'll do is I'll just sort of I'll show you what I did, and then I'll release a few videos on how I did it, and we can talk about it then. Ever thought about doing any ML videos? Yes, I'd love to. I really need to learn more. I only know the basics, and I'd rather not show you all something how not to do it, if you understand. I've only done the basic stuff. Hello, Humian. No worries, mate. This will all be uploaded on my YouTube channel. So, like some live projects. What do you mean? As in, I do them live, and I do that work on the whole project or live? Is that what you mean? That's quite a cool idea. I wonder how many people would be interested in that. Interested in watching me read documentation and Google answers for hours whilst I try and make something. Yeah, that's cool. I could definitely do that. Yeah. How to copy and paste from Stack Overflow for an hour. What's the video coming out this week, if you could tell us? Yeah, on Sunday night it will be scraping questions from Stack Overflow. I found it quite interesting. Similar but slightly different to approaches, which was quite cool. Do you work as a contractor for other companies or you freelance? I have a full-time job at the moment. I do this on the side, and I use Python and web scraping to help me in my job. Can we take scraping as a full-time job? Full-time job? Probably not. But if you know how to do it, you could build your own apps and programs. You could do freelance jobs. People are always after data. So it's a really useful skill to learn. And once you start learning through Python, it opens up so much stuff to you. I just think web scraping is a really good way to learn a lot of basics, and it opens you up to a load of sort of more interesting projects. Like, I don't want to make tic-tac-toe games and build Snake or anything. I want to get data that means stuff to me. Is it possible to scrape data and store in memory and then input the data into another website? Yes, absolutely. You can use what am I talking about? So you could, depending on how you wanted to do it, if it's all in the same script, you just save it locally, or you could I'm going to change my scene. I promise I'll remember to change it back. You can have a database, you can have an in-memory database if you want to. or you could just store it in variables depending on how much there was. Or if you wanted to, you could even output it and then save it, and then output it and then open it again. That's not a totally bad idea, but yeah, you could use an in-memory database. Which library do you think is currently best for web scraping in Python? Depends. Depends. Yes, an in-memory database. Yeah, I'll look it up for you. This is if you have a lot, I guess, if you need to. And we want to, you can do it with SQLite. It's probably not that helpful. Let's just do example. So I'm not sure, that's not right. We'll ignore the actual question, but here, so you see when we do a connect to the database, if you just put memory, what it'll do is it'll just save it in your RAM ready whilst you're, and as long as your program is, as long as your script's open and running, it'll be there. So if you have a lot of data, you can store it in your RAM, your memory, for real quick access, whilst as long as your scripts are still running. Because as soon as you close it, it'll go away. That could be what you're after. Yeah. Right. What was I saying? Oh yeah, best for web scraping in Python. So the easiest is just use requests and Beautiful Soup. And someone asked me what was the best parser. I tend to use HTML parser these days. I've not really noticed any massive difference between that one and the LXML one. I've used both. I've never really noticed anything different. So just use whichever one you feel like, I think. Library for scrape. Yeah, basic sites like HTML stuff, I always just use requests and Beautiful Soup. It's just easier, and it's what I learnt. There are a few other ones that you could use if you wanted to, but they're pretty much always all built on Beautiful Soup and requests, so you might as well just use those. Using Scrapey. Scrapey is the best one, basically, the framework, but it can be totally overkill for some jobs. Like if you just want to get a little bit of information from an HTML website, there's no point in using Scrapey just for like the sake of 5 lines of code. But Scrapey is really powerful. I'll do some more videos on that actually when I get around to it. I've got so many ideas for videos that I'm just sort of trying to do as many as I can. The thing I like about Scrapey is because it's a framework, it is itself. There's no extra, although there are dependencies, obviously, it's one sort of thing, and you can do, you can sort of expand it and build it out really well. So there's loads of information that you can get with it. So yeah, definitely learn how to use Request Beautiful Soup, learn Scrapey as much as you can, and as an absolute last resort, use, Selenium if you have to. I prefer not to though, because it's kind of like, it's slow. I've used it for some work projects where I needed to just, but they weren't time critical, so it didn't matter. I just set it up, and it would just run through a few hundred URLs getting information for me, because it was behind proprietary software login and whatnot. So I couldn't do anything with anything else. I just did it all like that. And I would just set it up on one computer, leave it, and come back in an hour, and I had all my information that I needed, and it was better than somebody going through and clicking on them all. So they all have different applications. Are you self-taught? Yes, I am all self-taught. I did some extremely basic computer programming when I was at school. Other than that, I am all self-taught. It's a really good time to be self-taught. You don't need the rest. I don't think you need it. Not university. Not for this anyway. I guess it could give you a better understanding of the whole thing, but I think in this day and age, I know I'm not a professional developer as such, but it's all about what you can do and if you can show you can do it. So if you want to get a dev job, you have to be able to do what they want you to do, which is obvious, goes without saying in any job. But create yourself a personal website and just put your own projects up. Link your GitHub. Everything you do goes on there, and it'll just be your little portfolio. And then they can just check your code out then, and they can see, well, this guy can do this, and so we can teach him how to do this. This is the best way forward. I don't think they really check to see if you've got a computer science degree. YouTube videos or books? Both. Less books. I talked about books earlier. I used one, which I found some bits really useful, and that was right at the beginning. That was real basic Python. The rest of the time, YouTube videos when I'm looking for specific information. So I would think, I need to be able to do this. How is the best way to do that? So I would Google, and I would say, try and think of a good example. I don't know. How do you get the attribute from an element in HTML, not the text? And I would just find it, and then you start to go through it and learn it. The upside to books is that, especially if you have excuse me, the upside and the downside to books, especially if you have it physically, is that it takes your learning material off your learning platform, so you don't sit reading one screen and doing on another. You're actually looking, and you can go through and you can go back and you can make notes on the page. That's always useful. The downside is that it can go out of date quite quickly. Although if you're learning core Python, you're probably all right. To avoid capture, crawler is the best service. I have not used that. Okay, yeah. I mean, I haven't used this, but I suspect something like this is probably what you want to do. It just costs money though, that's the problem. It'd be expensive. So it's not really, I've done it again. I said I wouldn't do it. Yeah, so it costs money, it's expensive, so you've really got to have a use. You've really got to have a project that you're working on, and it's like, right, this is my project. We're at this point now. Now we need to start doing this. But otherwise, $100 a month. I mean, I'd want to be making at least 3 times that before I tried to use something like this. But I guess this is probably quite good. Requests 200k requests. So that's what, per month? Doesn't seem like very many. Especially if you're doing multiple requests to get multiple bits of data. 50 concurrent requests, that might be alright. Automatic proxy rotation. So this is probably quite useful. 24/5. Not heard of that before. Is there, excuse me, just get a drink. Is there anything else that you guys are interested in learning? Not necessarily specifically web scraping, but anything else like Python oriented or not Python? What sort of things you guys want to learn, or what you want to work on? For me, it's improving my data science. Definitely. Not because I want to become a data scientist, but because, ML. Yeah, I thought you would say that. Definitely. I just find it fascinating. There's so much, it's just massive. It's a massive world. There's so much data out there. And this, like, scraping it's just the first part. It's actually doing something with it. Yeah. How to go from a script kiddie to a full-blown app. It depends. How would you describe a full-blown app? I might define it as 5 scripts put together that do something. I think what you probably mean is, if you would consider a Scrapey project as a full-blown app, then maybe that's the step. I certainly would. Especially when you have lots of spiders doing lots of different things for you. Or maybe web app, Flask, Django, and take your scraped data and do something with it. I like that. Maybe like a price tracker. or something. That would be quite cool. Actually, there's whilst we were talking about data science, I know you were talking about ML, I was talking about data science, so we'll go with that. This is quite cool. I found this not that long ago. So what it is it's a really, really quick and easy way to make a sort of interactive data. You can see it. Oh, I've done it again. This is a really cool, easy way of making like a data app. I used it for a couple of tiny little work projects, which were just like 10, 20 lines of code, and I just had an app done that I could share with my colleagues with just graphs and stuff, and it was really cool. This is a little bit further on than I am, but this is really simple. So I might do a video on this because it was a really cool thing. Data science or web scraping, which is good for a career. Well, data science is a career, but within data science, you will be web scraping, I should imagine. Interchangeable skills. Absolutely. So I would start with web scraping, get your data that you're interested in, because that always makes your projects much more likely to stick with them if you're interested in them. And then do something with that data and share it out. So you know how when the pandemic was at its highest, loads of people were doing data science on the data that was from that. So that was quite sort of an in thing. If you take that kind of approach, but something less morbid than a pandemic, and take something that you're actually interested in, you could then take that and then you could make yourself a data science project that had your web scraping at the start. That's what I would do. So if your thing, whatever your thing is, if you're really into your hardware, your computer hardware, I build a web app that analysed data about that you had collected yourself. That would be a really cool project. And I think if you did that well and showed it to employers or freelance, for example, people would want to hire you. But yeah, I might do a video on Streamlit eventually, because this is quite a cool thing. Can you share what type of projects you regularly do for your job? Yeah, so a few that I've done recently. I've done some basic data analysis, which I do with pandas. I just basically take some of our company data, display it, and like I was talking with Streamlit, or I'm even just export it to Excel. I can share. I might take other data and basically just rearrange it into a better way, into a better format, so we can upload it into our systems. I wrote scripts that probe all of our websites, that then checks a certain status and reports back. What else have I done? The one I said where I logged into our company site and scraped parts of data that somebody was doing manually, things like that. Don't know if Python would be the right language, but a video on producing a map with data displayed as well. Okay, what, like a world map with points across it? Is that what you mean? Any good alternative to Selenium? Not really. If you're doing browser automation, Selenium is it. Everyone uses that. I use Helium, but that's built as a wrapper for Selenium, and I only use that because for the things I use it for, the commands are much simpler. I think this might have a map type thing. Yes, with say GDP. Yeah. So I'd probably use this actually, Streamlit, for that, because what you can do is if you give it like longitude and latitude to go along with your data, it will plot it on a map for you. What is your passion? A good question. I like making things, solving problems. That's what I'm good at. That's what I enjoy. Outside of that, I have various other hobbies that I keep myself occupied with. So I like solving problems, which is where I kind of naturally lent towards programming. Yeah, so I think I'll do a project on here. What I'll do is I'll say I'll do this, and I'm not sure when I'll get around to it, but I'll take some data that we've collected and I'll put it into a data frame, and we'll display our data nicely using Streamlit in like a few lines of code, and I'll show you it. It's really cool. If it's not confidential, I like to see videos, things you've done. I can't share them, I'm afraid. It's not because of what I've done is sensitive. It's the actual data I'm working with is sensitive, and I mean sensitive as in not government stuff or anything like that. Not that sort of sensitive. It's just personal data which I can't share. I'd have to blur out the whole screen, which would make it pointless. What music with all those guitars? I actually like heavy metal music. There you go. I used to play guitar a lot, not so much anymore. Now I just like to look at them. Do you play guitar? Or are you just asking because they're always in the background? I don't know where else to put them. I thought about putting them on the wall, but I quite didn't really like that. I've done that before and I didn't really like it in the end. Right, I'm going to go in 5 more minutes. Love Rush. That's not quite what I meant, but I know Rush. How can I get all info from AutoZone, Napa, etc. for a specific car? For tune up, what is it possible? AutoZone, that is shop, isn't it? Depends. Let's have a look. What cool car should we look for? I know. Let's look up something really bad. How about my car? Oh. So bad it's not even in here. VW. Add vehicle. Make. Oh. There we go. There we go. Here we are. Oh, it's not any of mine, but right, we'll go for the 1.8 turbo. Let's have a look. Well, oh no, I don't need to talk to anyone. Where's like just the list of products, shop by category? Shop all. Here we go. All. Do you recommend freelancing? Yeah. I think it has its ups and downs, obviously. Having to deal with clients and whatnot be a bit of a pain. But if you get good ones, I think you've just got to, with freelancing, you just got to sort of like get through the rubbish and find some good clients. Breaks. Okay, cool. Here we go. I actually got a product list now. It's not okay. So I would always go for this sort of site, view source. I like to copy part of the text so we can have a look, see if we can find it. It's not in there. It's not in there. So that means that this is all scripts, styles. Yeah. Hang on. What's this? Is it because I can't find? That's not there. Search for this then instead. Okay. So I reckon this looks like the information's all here in the HTML. So I think that means what we could do is we could just use requests and then Beautiful Soup to pass the HTML, and we could get all this information from here. So if I hover over the whole thing, it should get some of the information. Go back up, article, here we go. There's probably, so there's only 4 products on this page, but I guess the whole website will work the same way. So we could just go ahead, yeah, and I would just go ahead and pass the HTML and try and find the div with a class of that. I would search with, try just the first part, and I think that would work fine. I would do it, but I'm about to log off in a minute, so I'm just sort of talking at the moment. But if I remember, I will go ahead and I'll do this one next time. Can I schedule a personal video lecture with you? That's not something I can do at the moment, just because of the way the times that I have free for things are a bit erratic. It's something I might consider doing in the future. And the next question, if people mail you with questions, will you be able to help? So what I'm thinking about doing is doing a specific, probably a video, because it's easier for me I can work through it and then edit it up so it's more useful than just you watching me trying and failing over and over again. But what I'll do is, if you want to email me, if you find my email on my YouTube page, what I'll do is when I get a few, I'll put them all into a video, and I'll do like, originally I was thinking I might do code reviews. So if you guys have like written your own scrapers or something, or anything Python related, and then send it to me, I'll have a look. But I think I'll also do viewer requests, for lack of a better word. Probably won't call it that, probably call it something better than that, but where I'll take them from my email. So the start of the stream today, I had a couple from my emails that I wanted to cover in this, but I think I'd like to keep my live streaming to, well, I don't know, more like talking, more sort of less total coding all the time, but more like talking about it and a bit more examples. And then maybe I'll try and do a stream. Every other stream will be like a project stream. But maybe I would do a code review video or a request video. So if you have a request, or you want me to have a look at what you've done so far because something's not working, then go ahead and email it to me. And if I don't reply right away, that's not because I don't care, it's just because I've been busy. But I'll try, and if I can get around to it, I'll do it all in a video, and then it'll go on my channel and you guys can see. And hopefully by looking at where other people have struggled, you'll be able to learn more from that. So it might be quite a cool idea. So that's my plan. But I have a lot of plans and a lot of videos to make, so hopefully I'll get around to it. I would love to do that though, so go ahead, email me, basically. Do it, and I'll try. Right, so I'm going to leave it there. It's an hour and a half. This has been good. I've enjoyed this one. Started off well, then I failed to scrape 2 sites in a row, which was on me. And then we had a good old chat about stuff. How's your social life? It's really good, thanks. That's a bit of a random question. Thank you all very much for stopping by and chatting. It was really cool. The whole video will be on my YouTube channel, although you've probably watched most of it, so I don't think you need to bother. But for anybody else that missed parts, whatever. So yeah, new video on Sunday night, which will be a code along video, about 20 minutes of how I scrape Stack Overflow questions. I'll be doing more live stream. I love the idea of live streaming a project. That's really cool. I'm going to really think about that. I'll probably try and do another live stream where we just talk through some examples again. And if you've got any projects that you're working on or that you're struggling with, or you want a code review, email it to me and I will try and do a few in a single video and post them up. Cool. So thank you very much for sticking by, dropping by. Thank you for talking and answering me loads of questions, because otherwise this would be a really boring live stream of me just talking at myself, and we don't need that. Thank you very much, guys. Bye.